Hey everyone, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I have a new project for you with my newest set from Gina K Designs, Holiday Frame. And today I'm going to be using the pine cone and tassel from my Stately Flowers 6 set. So this particular set has the pine cone and tassel in it, great for all of your winter cards, but then it's also got a rose with a happy Valentine's Day greeting for the holiday coming up, as well as the mountain laurel for springtime. This masculine design would really work for any time of year that you want to celebrate the men in your life with a thank you, happy birthday, or happy anniversary. But because I still have a few Christmas cards that I need to make, I'm going to be using the Happy Holidays greeting from my holiday frame set. So for this card, very minimal supplies. We're going to be using, as I said, the Stately Flowers 6 set, which is clear, as well as the holiday frame set, both from Gina K Designs. I'm going to use a large 6x6 block for putting that frame on, and then I've got a medium-sized block for stamping that pine cone because it's a very large image. The ink pads that I'm using today, I've got the Gina K Dark Chocolate, the Fresh Asparagus, and the Kraft, and we're going to be doing some masking and some direct to stamp on this particular card. Just a couple markers today. I've got the Spectrum Noir EB3 and EB6 markers. I've got some scratch paper that I have already created some masks for. So I showed this in a previous video, cutting out the different sections so that you can mask into those different areas of the frame. So these are already done. You just stamp them, cut out the portion that you want to reveal, and we're going to lay it right over that. And then I've just got some scissors and some jute. The cardstock we're using today, I've got the Gina K Pure Luxury White. This is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then we've also got just a piece of the Dark Chocolate Pure Luxury, and this is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 inches, scored at 4 1/4 for a side fold card. You might want to make this slightly bigger than 4 1/4 by 4 by 5 1/4, just because it's going to give you a little bit more wiggle room for stamping that frame onto. If you feel more comfortable, you can do your stamping first and then trim it out because it's a little bit tighter fit on this frame. So to begin, we're going to go ahead and just stamp the frame out using the dark chocolate ink. You can use your Misty if you want. I'm just going to use my block today though. Pad is sticking a little bit. I had to buy a new pad because I left my dark chocolate in Wisconsin, and this is one of my favorite neutrals. Okay, so you want to make sure that you ink up all over and that you're going across two planes of the pad, or excuse me, of the frame, so that you're not getting into those middle sections. And then you can just tip it to the light to make sure that it's all inked up. A dry area will really pop out at you, so that helps. Then I'm just going to be stamping this horizontally today. So we're using it for a landscape style layout. And pardon my head, I just need to peek over the edge of my white cardstock. So just want to center it so I just see a little bit on each of the sides peeking out, and then drop it down. You can also make this as a single layer card, but I've done several of those with this frame set in my videos, so I wanted to do some layering today. Okay, so we've got perfect layout there with that frame. Next, we're going to do some direct to stamp, which just simply means that I'm going to ink up the different portions of this, the pine cone in the brown, and then the needles in the green. So I'm going to start with my lighter color, and I'm just going to take the pad and just brush or tap over the pine needle part. Okay? And it's got some staining on it, so I know it all looks brown, but just concentrate on the pine needle area. And then we're going to take the brown, and I'm going to do it just here on that little stem, and then onto the pine cone. And if you want to mask that middle area so that the pine cone is not overlapping, you can. I liked it with the needles out, and once we color this, you're not even going to see that part where the pine cone and the frame intersect, excuse me. So I'm going to line this up where it looks like the edge of this little branch is coming off the edge of this. I'm going to huff on that with my breath just to moisten that ink since I was talking, because I want to get a really nice impression. So just going to stamp it right there. press all over. Oh no! And I didn't get a part of it inked up. All right, so that's okay. Let me just go ahead. I'm going to put this, lay it right back down where it was. Should have used my Misty. I know that's what you're all thinking, that have a Misty. And for some reason, it's just not picking up the ink there on that little portion. So forgive me. Let me go ahead and just try to get just that little bit there inked up. I cleaned it earlier and I might have had a little bit of residue left on it. So let me try one last time. As you can see, I try to make it work before I start over. Thankfully, this is okay, that's good enough for me because we're going to be coloring this in. So I try to work with what I have before I start over, but I used a piece of the base weight cardstock just in case I had to flip it over and make a boo-boo. So as you can see, you can't see through that. So you can start over without having to scrap that piece of paper. And that's what I would recommend if you get in that situation. Now, what we're going to do before I color this, I want to add a little bit of that pine cone to make a coordinating background in these open sections on the side. So I'm just going to lay this over. I'm choosing the one that has the outside sections open. As you can see, I use this with the poinsettia and Teresa Mauber's dashing set already. And without cleaning the stamp, I'm going to ink this up in the Kraft ink. And so there's still going to be just a little bit of green on there. And you can tack this down with a little bit of tape if you need to. Okay, but I'm just going to line those edges up. And then stamp. And try that one more time. Just going to go right into that area there where it kind of skipped a little bit. It's kind of popping up just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay, now I'm going to do one right here. And I'm just turning it and twisting it so that I can get the most interesting parts of that image. So I want some needles and some pine cone. I'm going to do this area up here. And really press hard so you can get as close as you can to that edge. The tighter the trim that you do on these, you might even want to go a little bit inside the line so that you don't have that skipping. I try to use the thinnest paper that I can. I was going to get some of that masking paper when Gina had it, but it sold out before I could get some. And you can kind of treat it just like collage style stamping, where if you have a part that skips that you don't like, you can just go over and cover it up. And so you're just getting more needles and more pine cones, and you're having a layered effect. Okay? And if you want to do some sponging in there, you can. But see, I'm just going to take that away so you don't see any of my boo-boos there. And then I'm going to use that greeting from this set. I did Happy Holidays on the first one. I think I'll do Merry Christmas on this one. Okay. And I'm going to do this in the brown, but you could also choose to do it in the fresh asparagus. I like my greetings dark. So this is with the dark chocolate. And I'm just going to stamp that so that it's in the bottom half, kind of a third of the way. Now I'm going to take my markers. So I'm going to start with the EB3. And I'm just going to color all of this with the EB3. And then I'm going to go in to the areas on the underside of each of these little petals of the pine cone and add a little brown. But I have so much shading built into this illustration that if you want, you don't really even have to have two colors, because you can see those darker areas there. And we're going to go over where it's just overlapping that rim. And I'm going outside the lines just a little bit to get that over stamp that I had. Okay. And then I'm going to take that EB6 marker and I'm just going to go in and just dot in. So again, you can do this with just one if you want. Okay, so that's all the coloring that I'm going to do. And then I just wanted to add just a little bit of texture to this card. So I'm gonna layer this onto my dark chocolate base and then just add a bow. My husband doesn't really like bling on cards, but I just want to add a little bit of texture, and so that's why I love jute or hemp, because that's a nice natural fiber. It doesn't feel like ribbon. So what I'm doing here, I'm making a double bow just by making 2 loops on either side. And then I'm going to cut. And then, while I still have it pinched, I'm just going to hold this in the middle and just tie a knot around that center part. I'm sorry, I hope you could see what I was doing there. Not having that centered under the camera. And then, wait, where's the edge of that? Okay, so this is still attached, so I'm going to tie that tightly. And then I'm just going to trim it. You can see this jute sheds a lot. And then you can just pull your bow to get it even like you want. And then I just want to make it look like it's just tied there just to the edge of that circle. I think I forgot to pull these out before, but I've just got a little glue dot that I'm going to be using on the back of that. I'm just going to mash that on there. And this is a little bit bigger than the back of my double bow. So after I take it off of the paper, I just try to kind of mash that onto the back. You can just squish that glue dot up so that it's not sticking out and isn't going to make something else stick to your card. And then just place it there right on the edge. And the card is complete. I hope you enjoyed this video and see that there are just so many other things that you can put inside this holiday frame other than the images that I included in the set. This would be beautiful with all of the ones in my Stately Flowers line, or really any that you have in your collection. Please visit my blog, Hands, Head, and Heart, for more ideas and inspiration using all of our stamp sets from Gina K Designs and Gina K Designs and Stamp TV. Thank you for watching. God bless.